A while back, Bon Appetit made a video that showed the behind-the-scenes view of how Nowon, a Korean-American restaurant in New York City, makes their legendary cheeseburgers. Throughout the video, they make it very clear that you can't make this burger at home. Ironically, they told us that and then showed us how we can make it at home. So, that's what we're gonna do today. The first thing we're gonna need to prep for this burger is the pickles, which according to Chef Lee must be made at least 2 days in advance. We're going to start by liberally rubbing cucumbers with salt and rinsing them off after 5 minutes. This may seem a bit counterintuitive, but this step's purpose is to draw out excess moisture from the cucumbers so that the pickles are nice and crunchy. Using a mandolin is the easiest way to consistently make perfect slices, just don't cut your fingers off. And if you don't have a mandolin, just use a knife. Next, we're going to add vinegar, sugar, and salt to a small saucepan. It may seem like a lot, but that's what makes pickles so delicious. And Chef Lee specifically mentions these pickles should be very sharp to combat the richness of the beef. We'll also be adding about a quarter cup of chili and garlic, as they do at Nowon, to make this pickle very spicy. Bring that to a simmer and whisk to dissolve the salt and sugar. Then take the pot off the heat. After the vinegar solution has cooled, pour it over the giant mound of sliced cucumbers. Cover with plastic wrap and let it have some think time in the fridge for at least 2 days. Then you can transfer it to glass jars for long-term storage. Chef Lee uses a sesame-seeded milk bread bun for his burgers. If you live near a nice Asian bakery, you might be able to buy these, but there's no fun in that. So instead, mix together milk, butter, and sugar in a microwave-safe container and microwave in 30-second intervals for 1.5 to 2 minutes, stirring in between. We're going for 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the optimal temperature for yeast to ferment. Add a bunch of live fungus to that and let them enjoy their feast. Meanwhile, whisk together 28 grams of flour, 84 grams of water, and 84 grams of milk in a small saucepan and cook over medium heat for 5 minutes. This is called the dongjong, and this technique, originating in Taiwan, pre-gelatinizes starches, lengthening gluten strands, and makes the bread have better moisture retention. All that mumbo jumbo means your bread will be softer and stay fresh longer. Once it's thick, we're just going to remove it from the heat and set it aside temporarily. For the rest of the dough, we're going to add 600 grams of flour, 23 grams of non-fat dry milk, and 13 grams of salt, along with the yeast on steroids and the dongjong. Definitely don't drop the hook in the dough, and definitely don't forget to add 2 large eggs. Mix on low speed for about 2 minutes to incorporate all the ingredients into a dough. Then turn the speed to medium-high for about 8 minutes. Next, we're going to knead this with our hands like so for about 1 minute until it feels soft, somewhat firm, and is able to be shaped into a ball. We can transfer this to a large oiled bowl, do a quick magic snap, and oops, let's try that again, and it will double in size. Give that a swift punch, then shape it into an imperfect log, and cut it into 14 pieces. Then we're just going to shape each of those into a somewhat round shape, and roll it on the cutting board until it becomes a very nice and even little ball. Put all of the balls on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper and let them chill in the fridge overnight. Or you can let it proof for 1 hour at room temperature. Now that it's tomorrow morning, let's make a quick egg wash. Preheat our oven to 375 degrees and brush a little bit of the egg wash on all of them before topping them with sesame seeds. In the oven they go. Fast forward a little bit and they're done. Now we have a bunch of beautiful soft buns ready for burgers. At Nowon, they use a 75-25 meat to fat ratio. My grocery store sells a 73-27 blend, meaning it has a slightly higher fat percentage than Nowon's beef. The difference is very small, and fat equals flavor anyway, so this burger is going to be intensely rich and beefy. I'm separating the beef into a boatload of 4-ounce patties because that's how they do it at Nowon. If you're making this at home, make sure to disinfect everything that touched the raw beef. Once all the patties are made, we're going to lightly grease a hot black stone before adding the patties. Chef Lee mentions that most home cooks can only cook 1, maybe 2 double smash burgers at a time. I'll be cooking 9 double smash burgers, which means 18 patties. In the video, each burger was hit with a secret seasoning that amplified the umami flavor in the burger. Unfortunately, I don't have this recipe, but we'll be making our own special seasoning. For our seasoning, we're going to use 2 tablespoons of salt, 1 tablespoon of garlic powder, 1 tablespoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of pepper, and the contents of 1 dashi packet, which I'll leave a link to in the video description. Mix all that together and pour it into a small shaker with a sprinkling lid and sprinkle generously on all of the patties. Once the juices begin to rise to the top of the burger, it's time to flip them. To make the true legendary burger, American cheese is a must, but not all of my family members like cheese, so I won't be using cheese for all of them. Now we're going to stack half of the patties on the other half, using the cheese to stick them together and close the lid so the steam will cook the cheese and it will become melty and gooey. Finally, we're going to take all those patties off the grill and onto a wire rack to let them rest. While the patties are resting, we're going to butter up one side of the sesame seeded milk bread buns from earlier. We're going to lower the heat on our Blackstone, wipe up any excess grease, and place each of the buns on the grill for 2 to 3 minutes until it's crispy and can stand up to a juicy burger and wet pickles. Nowon uses a special sauce. We don't know all the ingredients, but we do know it has kimchi, Kewpie mayo, and toasted sesame oil. So for our kimchi mayo, we're going to also add gochugaru, soy sauce, garlic, and ginger. To make it, add 120 grams of Kewpie mayo, a quarter cup of kimchi, 1 tablespoon of gochugaru, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 20 grams of garlic, and 20 grams of ginger to a blender and blend until smooth. Pour that into a jar. Make sure to get as much as possible because this sauce is highly delicious and we don't want to waste any of it. Label that and store it in the fridge until ready to use. Chef Lee mentions that they use roasted scallion oil for the roasted kimchi, and he also says that you can't get this at home, but you actually can get this at home. And actually I had some of this in my fridge from the last time I made it, and you can easily make it at home, so don't be intimidated. So we're using that to saute kimchi and a bunch of garlic until it takes on a deep, smoky, and savory flavor, shifting from bright red to more of a maroon color. Chop that up so it's easy to eat on the burger, and transfer it to a container for assembly. We're saucing up both sides of our toasted milk bread buns, so that the top and bottom of your mouth are hit with flavor, and to act as a barrier for the crispy bun. We're also topping the bottom bun with white onion to cut through the richness of the beef, and roasted kimchi to give a unique flair. Place 3 pickles on the top bun, patties go on, flip the top bun onto the patties, and our legendary cheeseburger, inspired by Nowon, is done. Now, it's time for one of my favorite parts of cooking, eating. The guys over at Nowon really know what they're doing, because this cheeseburger is delicious. It's amazing how well they pulled off this fusion. It's still definitely American, but the Korean aspects of it make it so much better. So next time you're in New York, make sure to stop by Nowon, or make it at home with the recipes I left in the description.